All right, looks like we are now live. I got my cup of coffee here. I got my water. We should be good to go. And this should be a pretty good and informative hangout for today. And if you have any questions, feel free and ask. You'll be able to ask directly on YouTube or directly on the Google community forum, and we'll be monitoring for questions. There was a question or two last time around by somebody who I didn't get to. I apologize for that. I can't always see questions depending upon where they're asked, and so that's why we're stating where to ask the questions for live hangouts. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started here. So, is social media right for your business? And this is something that I hear a lot of small businesses really complaining about because they really have had very little ROI on a lot of their social marketing campaigns, and they've been rather disappointed when they've gone out and they've hired somebody and spent $600 or $700 to initially set up an account, and then they might pay an ongoing fee for content, but yet they never seem to get any benefits out of it. And that's actually a really common um, complaint by most businesses. And I went out and I tried to look up the information on it, and I found a Forbes article that we'll link in the show notes here that talks a little bit about this. And so according to this article, they say that more than 60% of businesses have reported no ROI despite an increased time and money getting social media strategy going. And it's really no surprise that a lot of that money was spent on Facebook. And like I said, I spoke with a lot of smaller marketers who have said the exact same when it comes to Twitter and LinkedIn. And so, the first question that we'll tackle here is should you have social media accounts for your business? And from my point of view, the answer is a very clear yes. Yes, you need to have social media accounts for your business, and kind of here's why. So having social media accounts helps to validate you for social proof. And this is something that Google looks at when helping to determine the rankings in the search engine. So what they'll say is well, most businesses have these social profiles set up. And so if other plumbing companies have these social profiles set up, well, if you're a business, you should have these social profiles set up. And if you do not have those set up and going to your site, that can actually harm you in the search engines. And it's not an end all be all, but you do want to have a presence online and in social media. And the other aspect there is you want to register your business name at a social media site. And so you want to reserve your brand name or your company name so somebody else doesn't take it. And believe me, there's plenty of scrupulous people out there who have taken company names and created social profiles on it to hijack another company's clients by pretending to be them. And I've seen this actually go on heard it go on here locally with locksmiths. And so one locksmith company that's rather well known had their name kind of taken and somebody else pretending to be them. And there's a pretty big hoopla about it. And, there wasn't a lot that other company could do besides trying to take legal action. Let's not go there in the first place. Just go out and reserve your name at as many places as you can. And this might be a great way to check all the social media platforms for your name. Is going to be namecheck.com, and it's spelled a little weird. So it's going to be NAME, like name, but check is spelled as CHK.com. And again, this is going to be in the show notes page. So on the MarketingPlayBook.co website, we have our live webinar show notes. It'll be there. It should also be in the YouTube description. If you're watching this over on YouTube, it should be in the description there. So you should be good. For detailed show notes, be sure and check out MarketingPlayBook.co though, because that's where we'll have more insights into what we're talking and kind of the script that we went through. That way, if you wanted to look up something really quick, it's a really easy way of doing it. So something to quickly point out is just because you register, let's say 20 different social networking sites, yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Just because you register at them all doesn't mean you have to be active on them all. And you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. I recommend you register everywhere you can, but you can just kind of sit on that domain and on that profile. So set up the profile so it links back to your website. Put a little bit of content out there. It might just be about us, about what we do, what our company is, something rather professional. It can be taken directly from your website and have it listed there. Just have something on that platform just to show that, hey, you're a real person, in case somebody stumbles upon it when trying to do some research on you. They can see it and see the about page. It doesn't really matter if it's years old and you're not active. That's perfectly fine. But on what the sources that you do want to participate on, you want to make sure that you're active there and active enough to satisfy whatever goals or metrics that you have set up. And that kind of brings us to the next topic that we're going to be talking about here, and that's creating your social media strategy and defining your goals. And the average small business spends around 6 hours or more weekly on social media, and that's quite a bit of time in my mind. It tells me that a lot of them aren't really optimized or at doing it right in the first place. Because if you're a smaller business, you probably don't need to be spending 6 hours on there. Now, it depends 100% on your goals and what you're doing. If you're an e-commerce store and you have a very big following and you're doing, daily discount deals for fashion clothes or something along those lines, then yeah, absolutely. You're going to probably be spending way more than 6 hours a day or 6 hours a week on social media. But for a lot of smaller companies, it might be a restaurant, a plumber, or a carpet cleaning company, even you name it, or a lot of service-based companies, they don't need to be spending 6 hours a week on social media if you've outlined a good strategy, and especially if you're using other tools out there, which we'll discuss shortly. So your ROI can be very, very hard to measure, and especially if you're not an e-commerce store. So if you're a service-based industry, it can be near impossible to know, okay, where did this lead and sell come from? And I've been posting on Facebook for 6 months here, once a week, and I don't know if I've gotten a single call from Facebook and a single lead. So it can be really, really hard to track and have that type of analytical data. So you should be aware of that. And know that those type of metrics right currently are extremely difficult to track. Now, if you're an e-commerce store, it's a bit easier because you can take a look and see what referrer led to the sale. So what you'll have to do ultimately is rely on analytics data. So if you're using something like Google Analytics, you can see the referrers to your website, and you can see the average time somebody spent on your site and what pages they went to. And you can kind of analyze and say, hey, is it bringing in anything, in any traffic whatsoever? But know that for setting up your goals, we'll cover a little bit more of what I think most businesses should be focusing on. Right now, let's go ahead and just jump into the next section just to keep this going, because I only want to keep these Hangouts for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And then a few questions if people have them. And the next up here, we're going to say defining your goals for social media. So what is it that you want out of social media? And general branding is one that a lot of people think of, and that's great, I think, if you're a local company. So if you're a restaurant or a service-based provider and you're looking at branding something in your city and you're just trying to target people in your city, then that's perfectly fine, because you can be that authority. You can be that big fish in a small pond. However, if you're a national brand, it can be a waste of time. So if you're an e-commerce store selling products and services online, you can try to brand yourself and become an authority in your industry, but you're not necessarily going to get that broad branding like a McDonald's would have. It's just not going to happen. It's going to cost too much money. They can spend millions of dollars on advertising and have no return on it, because all they need to do is put their name out there. Everybody knows what they do. Well, everybody doesn't know what you do. So, general branding purposes are good if you're thinking about it on a local level or a very, very niche level. Otherwise, to interact with your audience is absolutely fantastic. And that's what I generally recommend a lot of people try focusing on, is setting up that type of community. Because when you have that community set up, it's it builds that customer loyalty. And even if somebody isn't ready to buy then and there, when they are ready to buy, and this is the power that comes into social networking. When you build up a community, when those individuals are ready to buy, they are going to be loyal to you. So they are going to not only buy from you over a stranger, they're also going to buy more from you, and they're also going to refer you out. And being a small business owner myself, I've owned several companies over the years. And one of my favorite companies that I owned and operated before I sold off was a computer repair company. And the computer repair company, built from scratch, I ran it for nearly 4 years. And I had, by the end, I pulled my advertising because I was winding the company down. I was moving out of state, and while I was winding the company down, I was still getting more and more calls because of referrals, and that is fantastic. And that's really what you want, and that's the real power of social media, because people will go to social media, Facebook, and say, "Oh man, my pipes broke," and if you know you're a plumber and you have a fairly active account there and a little bit of a fan following, and just some individuals who are aware of you from your branding there, then it can really hit. Another good reason for social media is to share coupons and offers. So it's very, very common for somebody to type in, especially if you're a pizza chain, right? To type in blah, blah, blah coupons. And coupons are expected in the pizza industry. It's been couponed to death. So anybody who buys a pizza, if they're savvy in any way, they look for a coupon. And people do this with all kinds of other businesses as well. And you can use your social media profiles as just your coupon place. So you can put just your coupons and your special offers there, because Facebook's going to rank fairly high. And if somebody puts in your brand name and coupon, and you have your brand name and coupon in any text on Facebook, chances are it's going to show up on the first page of Google. That's just how it's going to work. Another goal is driving traffic to your website. So that is going to be a goal in which is less measurable from an actual ROI point of view, because what those individuals do on your website, if you're a service-based industry, unless you have a lead generation form, then in a funnel set up to capture the individual, it can be really hard to say, well, is this referrer from Facebook making me money or not? If you're an e-commerce store, it's a little bit easier because things are tied to sales. And lastly, a very good use for social media is to market new product lines. So if you have, multiple products that you've had over the years and you built up a little bit of following, when you go to launch a new product and you've already built that infrastructure, it can be really good to announce new products and push out new products. But all of these depend upon you actually building a community online. And that is probably one of the hardest parts for most companies, because they don't get that initial ROI off the bat. They might spend way too much time on posting irrelevant data that nobody cares about. People go to Facebook to be entertained. First and foremost, people go to Facebook to be entertained. They don't go to Facebook to buy something. And once you understand that, I think you can do quite well. And so a book that I'm going to throw out there is going to be, I think, what is it? Jab, Jab, Punch, something along those lines. If you search Jab, Jab, Punch, I'll put a link in the show notes to the book. How about that? Directly to Amazon. And it's one of the leaders when it comes to building and talking about social media. So we'll get on and move along here. So for most, I've kind of touched upon this already. For most, social media will not help drive sales initially, but works to build customer loyalty and brand yourself locally as an expert in your industry. And this could be pretty big. So if you were, let's say, a diving company and you sold diving gear in your diving shop, well, you can hold community events for diving. You can hold maybe even a free training sessions, or just announce your training sessions and your classes that you're doing. And you can really get involved with the diving community. Hey, where's a good place to dive? And review a diving place that's local, or review some other aspect there. So there's a lot you can do in your industry to help make customers aware of what's going on in your industry, or especially when it comes to hobbies. Hobbies is probably the easiest one. Harder ones might be a service base. If you're a dental practice or a plumber, it's like, well, what do I write about? Well, you can write about some local news. You can write about other things that aren't necessarily plumber related, but it might be, well, how to blow out the pipes or your sprinkler systems, and how to fix ABC in your home. Or it doesn't even have to be plumbing related. It just has to be helpful to those who might someday need your service. And in worst case, you throw out a meme, a funny meme. You purchase a funny meme somewhere, or you make one and you put it in your social profile, because again, people want to be entertained, and they'll remember you. If you throw out funny stuff, once a week or so, they might not always see it, but over the course of a year, they'll see it a few times, and they're going to remember you. All you're trying to do is just step in front of them when they're browsing their profile, and just so they see your name. That's all. That's all you need, because sometimes they'll look at it, other times they'll like it and share it with their friends, which is great, and that's exactly what you want. So moving on here. Yeah, like I said, when a person is in need for your service, that's when they're going to see it. So when it comes to, I can't really tell you what to post, because that depends upon your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And we're going to go more in depth in that at another time in another guide. But really, what I recommend most people do is plan your postings. And so many people don't do this. And it's one of those things that, hey, if you sit down and let's say you want to post one thing a week, sit down and just write out the 12 things you want to post. Get the images for the 12 things you want to post, because images are important, and just have what you want to do ready to go. And by sitting down and actually building that content strategy and having it set up already, all you have to do is then go out and post. So pre-make that schedule. If you're a restaurant, maybe you post your daily specials. It might be different, and maybe that might be too much. Maybe your audience doesn't really want your daily specials, or that might just be for Twitter and not Facebook. So you kind of have to decide those type of things of what's relevant to your community and what's relevant to your goals that you're trying to define. So the biggest thing is providing value in your posts. So if you're this could be a community event. It could be something local news that's interesting or weird or funny. Those things get shared, right? And there's nothing wrong with you posting and adding in that type of stuff. Definitely stay away from anything that has to do with anything political. Your business is not in that realm, and you're just going to end up getting others mad. And so never go off on them, and never do something like that in there. And the same goes for complaints that'll be in there, because it's going to happen. I've seen people handle complaints horribly, and they think of themselves as doing no wrong. And people complain, and when they're behind a keyboard, they might really complain. They might truly vent how they feel and how they feel that you wronged them. And it's going to happen. When it's going to happen to you, it's going to happen when you have your biggest push. So when the day you decide, I'm going to launch in this new product, and I'm actually going to pay to boost my post to my entire audience of 1,000 people or 10,000 people, the day you do that is the day somebody's going to be in there complaining. And I highly recommend that you do engage, that you take ownership of the situation. You say, hey, I'm sorry you had this situation, XYZ. Don't make an excuse. Simply apologize. Try to move on, and that's just it. It'll show that you engage with people. It won't, don't get into a battle of this and that in there. Just leave it alone. After you respond, all you have to do is respond once. If they respond back, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to engage again unless you really want to. I'm getting off topic there, but it just, it can sink your marketing campaign. So be sure and don't be rude to any of your followers. And so you know, the thing I'm going to keep coming back to here is social media is a place to build loyalty in a community, as well as answer customer service questions. So you might get people who want to kind of text you, and they can do that with Twitter. So they can tweet at you, and they might do that. So you have to, as part of your business strategy, you have to look at social media as being an extension of your physical location. So think of your social media as another room in your store, and there's customers coming in those rooms, and you need to have the signage in those rooms, right? You need inventory in there, kind of. So you need words that express what you do in that room, so when somebody comes into that room, they know what you're doing. And you also need to pay attention to that room, because if a customer's in there, you need to go in there and say, hey, how's it going? And so you need to monitor, you know, your Twitter channels and your Facebook. And that's why it's important not to, if you're going to be active, choose what you can manage, even if it's just one social network to start. Build up a kind of content strategy for that and goals for that. Build that out, and then move on to Twitter and the like, and, you know, from Facebook to Twitter or LinkedIn if you're focused more on business to business. So yeah, that's almost it. So we have a few other things to cover, and what social platforms are out there. Well, there's a lot of them. I won't bore you with them all. I'll quickly run through a few. You're already going to know a lot of these. It's Google Plus, including Google Communities, and Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, Foursquare, YouTube, Reddit, StumbleUpon, and Instagram. So, you know, different medias have different sources and different people on it. I myself, I do not use pretty much any of these. I'm just not a social media person besides what I do for MarketingPlayBook.co. You know, so I'm not your target audience, right? But at the same time, hey, I am on Facebook, and yeah, I am on Google Plus. So as much as I like to say I'm not part of it, and I do a lot of YouTube videos. So I'm more part of it than I think I am, right? And that's how a lot of people are, I guess. So another thing to think about is, you know, social media, especially if you're not using the paid advertising options inside there to advertise to others locally. If you're just doing it to build your community locally, what you're going to save in money, you're going to give back in time. And that's important to understand. And it's great if you have more time than money. Oftentimes, if you're a small business, you do have some downtime. You know, that might be a rainy day where you just have no traffic to your store, or it might be a side business, so you might have a little bit more time here and there to devote to it. And you know, it can be great and beneficial, but that long-term ROI is going to be hard to measure, and it can be very long-term. So you know, until that customer is ready to buy, you might not get them. So that's why focusing on community, once again, is such a big important thing. So some good subject matters, resources for these subject matters are going to be socialmediaexaminer.com. And again, this will be in the show notes. I like rebelmouse.com as well. We also have MarketingPlaybook.co. And so what's cool here is with MarketingPlaybook.co, we just finished out doing some AdWords guys on search and display. And next, we're kind of going to be jumping into a few other networks for social media. So I'm building out multiple classes on social media to show you exactly how to advertise on these multiple platforms that are out there, as well as tips and tricks for using them, because they constantly change and evolve. So even when you have the guide, the very next day it's outdated. It's the way it works. But we're going to come out more with step-by-step guides for helping to get you going in specific industry examples that'll kind of really get your mind flowing as far as, okay, how do I create my marketing strategy? So be sure and check out MarketingPlaybook.co. Join our newsletter, because that's when we'll announce when new courses are out there and new tips and tricks. We also do live weekly hangouts starting at 2 p.m. Central on Wednesday. And that's where you can ask any questions that you have. Be sure, and we'll link to our Google community, and our Facebook community as well, where you can get involved there. And lastly, we're going to be offering here down the road, because everything we're doing right now is free. All the content guides we have out there is 100% free. And I do that because I really like small businesses. I really like helping consult with small businesses. It's a lot of fun for me, and I want to see more and more people succeed. So, but at the end of the day, I do have to make something, right? And so that's where we're going to have a private forum, and this is going to be a private member access forum. And in this forum, what we're going to do is allow small businesses to ask any questions they have. Because I know once you set up your AdWords search campaign, you're still going to have some questions, even though we have a very detailed guide on it. You're going to have questions, and you're going to run into marketing issues that involve digital marketing. And I've been in digital marketing for 10 plus years, and that's where I can really jump in and help. And I know a lot of industry experts. So even if I don't know the answer, I can find the answer for you. And so we're going to be opening that up, and that's still a few months away. Still not sure exactly how we're going to have everything. So, but by joining our newsletter or one of our communities on Google and Facebook, you're going to be able to find that information. Again, that's going to be in the show notes page. So just click the links in the show notes page and you will be good to go. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where we stream after the fact. Well, I guess we do stream it live, our Hangouts, because Hangouts are streamed live on YouTube. So that is it for today. Let's see. No, we do not have any questions, which is good and bad. I'm sure they'll start coming in as we do more and more of these. But be sure, and if you do have questions, join us next week, next Wednesday, 2 p.m. for the next live Hangout. And that's it for today. I sincerely hope it helped you out in some small way or measure. Feel free and reach out to me on MarketingPlayBook.co if you have any questions. And I will see you next week. Take care.